Aloha and welcome to Astrology, ancient science in the modern world. The science of time, you know, that's what it really is. This is Rollin Frost, an astrologer living on the Kona coast of the Big Island. And if you stick by us here, we're about to go to program 1017. 1017 weeks I have served you. Haven't missed one yet. We're going to cover the last few days in May and the first 5 days in June 2016. And a note I have here is that you had a full moon on the 21st. That full moon was at 1 Sag and it hit Mars. And you have a full moon on Mars, you can have fires, fights, anger, sudden heat. Mars is not behaving when he has a full moon on him. Normally he's the god of agriculture and fixes things, chases away the bad stuff and from your garden and your orchards and takes care of the things that grow. But with a full moon on him, gosh, you know, he gets confused about what he's protecting. And over emotionality happens with full moons. So Mars is over emotional. Mars is having some lunacy. Like out comes the sword and you're dealing with the god of war. Uh-oh. Yep, this lunacy on Mars lasts from the full moon on the 21st of May pretty much through June 20th. Till the moon comes around, sets off another full moon and a new cycle. You've got some new moons going on here. Saturday night, June 4th, there's a new moon at 14 Gemini, and it's another tough one. It's a bad moon. Yeah, this new moon at 14 Gemini opposes Saturn, which is politicians and laws and rules and regulations and old-fashioned stuff, and actually kind of sets off a big old grand cross you're sure to hear things of. Now this bad new moon is going to go from first part of June on until the first part of July. Yep. Well, I got a lot of interesting things to share with you on this show. But first thing out, let's get to the sky mirror. What's happening in the next 10 days? What's the mood of the times? What it's going to be like for you? Remember now, this is the generic stuff. But here you see this big grand cross, Neptune, Jupiter, Saturn, and the new moon here. Yeah. And Mercury's here too. Mercury is in trouble. Anyway, a grand cross. The people will make a big fuss over this, but what it means is these are obstacles. A square 90 degrees is an obstacle. It's like a rock in your path, a delay, a hang-up. So when you get all these guys, now these guys could fight. They like to fight, Jupiter and Neptune, the lawyers and the doctors, the wise men and Monsanto. But you know, here's the new moon squaring and says, nope, can't do that now. And here's Saturn, the judge, squaring them both, blocking them. Say, no, you can't do that now. So you can't fight. Same way with the new moon opposing Saturn. We'd like to get all these politicians out of there that have made all these bad laws. But no, you can't do that. Jupiter here, the lawyers say, they were going to block you. You can't do that. You know, you can't. Here's Neptune, the priest, artist, doctors, squaring. No, you can't do away with the laws. You need those things. I think of these Saturn things, some of the worst, because I look at the road safety. I'm a safety engineer before I was an astrologer. And what we found out was that stoplights cause accidents, because when you're going through the intersection, you're looking at the light, not the other cars and the people. But the politicians put these things in. So what happened when a hurricane hit Honolulu, all the electricity went out. There was no stoplights, no stop signals. And I drove all the way across Honolulu. Oh, I got there much faster. People were paying attention. Yeah, And you know what? There were no accidents that day. Happened on Kauai too after Aniki. No more stoplights? Oh boy, you could get there fast. Found out you didn't need those stoplights. In fact, they cause hurt. A lot of our laws are like that. You don't need the drug war. It causes hurt. Oh, don't get me started. So I've got a pattern of planets here. I put these guys on the stage where they are, and we're going to run the moon around the edge of it. It goes around once a month. And as the moon hits angles to these things, squares, uh-oh, obstacle, trines, oh, let go, eases up. These angles give you the mood of the times. If you're on the Thursday show here, moon's in Aquarius, and Friday morning there's a sextile to Saturn. I can get along with the stop signals. I like the laws. This is a nation of laws. Oh boy, you know, there's a moon in Aquarius. He can adapt to Saturn, and you can make some possible. Look out! Anything you start to set and cement could be problems here. Don't get seduced. Friday evening, here's a nice sextile to Uranus. Wait a minute, the technical side is all set. We got a plan, money and time. We got the technical things, the tools, the electricity, the machinery. Uranus is here. Everybody will like this. Very seductive thing to try to start something here. If you had good planning and good technical assistance. But look out. Here you go, Saturday morning. Here's the square to Mars. And that Mars is having lunacy, remember? So Mars is not, you know, you want to go get some workers? Look out, they're drunk. They're fighting. They're not able to do what they usually do. Yeah, and it all happens here around noontime and in the middle of the day. And here's another problem, Venus. Venus is squaring. So, you know, not only is Romeo not behaving, but Venus, the girls aren't buying it. There's squabbles. Romeo and Juliet are having troubles. The kids are okay with it. Here's Mercury, you know, in the afternoon, not too bad. Mercury says, I can get along with all this. I don't care if the brother and sister are having a tiff. But here's a square to the sun. Happened Saturday night. Your plans aren't going to go through. This is not a good Saturday. It's not social. It's angry. And it's full of obstacles. And we got lazy. Not so hot. Moon in Pisces, huh? On Sunday, the moon's still in Pisces. Now, when you go through the 29th, it starts right away with the moon on Neptune. Normally, I'd say, oh, this is a great time. Go to church. Read Jesus. You know, read Neptune stuff. Higher heart. Coax out a little compassion in your life. That's what Neptune does. It's a path to enlightenment. But in this case, he's part of the Grand Cross. You start to sing your song. You know, you want to do something religious or spiritual or inspired or something you believe in. Look out. Saturn squares it. There's a law against it. Jupiter opposes it. You know, the wise men said, don't you dare do that. And the new moon squared it. You know, and nobody's interested in it. You better turn that music down Sunday morning. And if you're going to go to church, you're going to be with a bunch of people trying to sing and make music, look out. Things are going to happen. They continue. Here's Saturn after the Neptune thing, more towards lunch, you know, and look out. So, not an easy time. Here's, Sunday, moon in Pisces, confusion, delusion. You know, don't start painting until you're absolutely sure of that color, because you probably didn't see it right on Sunday. I'm serious. The confusion continues through most of Monday, but the moon's going to shift on Monday here, the 30th, around dinner time. It goes into Aries. Here's Aries. Here's Pisces. And here's an actual trine to Mars. Wait a minute, we can go get the physical things. They're heroes. You know, we don't have to be angry. We can do real stuff in the middle of Monday. Go ahead, fix it. Fix it. Be macho. Yeah. Tuesday morning, Venus will reward you. Here's a nice sextile to Venus. Juliet says, oh, Romeo worked so hard on Monday, I'm going to reward him here. Tuesday morning, Tuesday lunchtime, quite nice. Moon in Aries. Here we got a sextile to the sun Tuesday morning. Got a plan. The boss is happy. Here we got a trine to Saturn. The old man are happy. The laws. Everybody's in March step here, and we're enjoying it, and we're following all the rules and regulations. How could there be problems in there? You know, but look at this. Here's after dinner. Here's the evening of Tuesday the 31st. And there's a square to Pluto. And you're back in the old Pluto-Uranus square. It's been going on for years. Here's a policeman. There's a man with a gun over there. Tuesday night. Power and control issues, territory. You don't have to be radical. Don't get radical. No, it's not going to fly. Uranus is there squaring it. You know, and somebody's videotaping the whole thing. The moon goes by Uranus. Everybody gets uppity. A genius comes out. Common sense. Secular stuff, not religious stuff. Here's the religious stuff here with Neptune. Here are the church people. Here's the scientists and the common sense folks. It's very different. They don't get along very well, these two. But this is a path to enlightenment too. You could get flashes of wonderful stuff. Try the internet. Try YouTube. Just start fishing. Things will come up. Make sense of it all. Wednesday morning, June 1st. Thursday, June 2nd, the moon is shifted into Taurus. And it's quite nice. You know, we got a lot of nice trines here. And you're in the Mercury zone. So, you know, talking, teaching. Here's, you know, here's trine to Jupiter. That's nice. Middle of the day. Very nice. So, the North Node is here. Or the trine to the nodes. Or something. Whatever that is. Thursday, June 2nd. Pretty mellow. Good time to talk, write, teach. Continues through Friday, June 3rd. Until you get to the middle of the day, and here's an opposition to Mars. And the full moon there. The Mars comes up earlier because it's moved backwards a little bit. You know, so everybody's a little ticked off at the young men, and everybody's too selfish. Yes, and they're all pushy. And this is not a good time for anger. Not a good time for sports, as you'll find out Friday night, because here's the moon continuing past the Mars opposition, and it gets to the opposition to the full moon, and you're in a lunacy here Friday. Here's the heat, here's the fires, here's the fights. How could you fight over a soccer game or a football game, you know? Well, I don't know. How can you fight over a country's boundaries or rules? Doesn't make sense to me. Saturday, June 4th, you're in the new moon zone. And this new moon is nothing but trouble. Here starts with confusion with the Neptune square, you know, at 12 degrees. And then comes restrictions at 13 with Saturn. And then we overdo it, and the lawyers and the wise men won't help at Jupiter at 14. And finally, here's a new moon happening. Oh, yeah, we can overcome all this stuff. You're dreaming. This is gridlock. What happens with the Grand Cross is everybody blocks everybody else. I remember in the past, they make a big stink about it in the media, and a lot of... I have a man call me up, my God, I got a Grand Cross in my chart. I said, aren't you lucky? You got lots of sextiles and trines to them. The Egyptians would go around and look at 8-year-olds in schools and look for guys that had Grand Crosses, women, and if they did, they'd take them out, put them in a special school, because they knew these guys had real heavy-duty abilities. If they were alive and kicking with the Grand Cross, make them managers. There is a trine here. You can see it. Oops, what's that? Pluto, Jupiter, over to Mercury. So there's been some enlightenment. There's a grand trine going on with the Grand Cross. But nonetheless, this new moon here, you know, Saturday sets the tone. And why can you change and get those stoplights taken off the road? Can you get a bad law out? You know? Well, not with these squares. The priests won't let you. We love the drug war. The lawyers won't let you. We love the drug war. Why can't we stop this nonsense? Well, you're stuck with it for a month. Sorry, just the way the new moon runs. Kick back, relax a little bit. That's what you got to do when you're caught in gridlock like this. And here's Uranus on Sunday. Peeks his head out. The moon's still in Gemini, sextiles Uranus at 23 Aries, and says, hey, there's brotherhood. Check the internet, try YouTube, try, all the media, the social media. We're all together. The Mayan says, in la catch. That doesn't mean we're all together. That means I am another you. Straight enlightenment from Uranus. Now here's some interesting things. I just got my copy of the Mountain Astrologer. This is the only astrology magazine worth getting. It always sets me into lots of stuff. Here's the future of water, it says. That got me right away when I saw that. Most of my notes to myself, I put in my ephemeris, see? And some, I don't even remember doing this, but when I went through the next year, there it was, water rationing, September 1st. Over here too, rationing H2O. So when I see the Mountain Astrologer talk about it, brothers and sisters out there, I'm grateful. This got me into another thing. I started looking through here, and there's an article on Lily, one of the top astrologers of the old world. And, well, just let me show you. Major article, Hieroglyphics of Hell, The Fateful Predictions of William Lilly by Catherine Blackledge. Blackledge? So I read the article, and Catherine kind of blew it and missed it. Then I go back, I see she's a doctor. Oh, Professor Doctors! Right away, I'm suspicious. She's a scientist, a writer, a student of astrology, spoke at several conferences. The man who saw the future. She wrote a book about William Lilly and the story of V, a cultural history of the vagina. What? Anyway, it's a well-written article, but she totally missed how Lilly predicted the Great Fire of London. I want to tell you how. Okay, London is one of the few cities where they knew the exact rising sign, because there was a lot of astrologers and they set the cornerstone. So they knew the exact midheaven of London, which essentially was in Sagittarius. And what happened is a fixed star named Antares, a red star. And now these things move 1 degree roughly every 72 years. Yes, they move really slow. The whole star field does. Antares is the bright red star in the heart of the Scorpion. It's known for starting fires. So Lily's watching this thing slowly creep up, and he knows exactly the midheaven of London. And a couple of years before, he says, geez, Mars, that Antares is going to start fires, and London's going to have a great fire. And he pins it right to, the date, which was 1666. Now, he wasn't the only one that knew about Antares' progression to the midheaven of London. Several other astrologers did in a period of about 5-6 years before it happened. Several astrologers in different almanacs said the same thing because they understood this. Dr. So-and-so doesn't. Here's another one for you. There's an evil star named Algol. And Algol is moving along at 40 degrees north and declination, which means 40 degrees of latitude is where... Now, Algol creeps up there, and bang, it hits New York. Algol is the most evil star there is, famous for beheading and stacked up bodies. Those planes came in and just like a guillotine beheaded those buildings and stacked up bodies. So I wrote a nice article about it for the Mountain Astrologer, and some lady sent it back to me and said, we don't need more articles on fixed stars, and they didn't publish it. So Antares was a great fire in London. Algol was a great 9/11 thing. This is all about a different sort of astrology than you're used to, isn't it? Okay, here's some technical details. My program Solar Fire has an ephemeris generator, and you can just pick declination. And declination for a planet is the same thing as latitude lines on the Earth. So I'm looking around declination, like here's the sun. When it gets to plus Northern Hemisphere 19.5, May 18th, that's the no shadow day for the sun. Sun's directly overhead my latitude here. When I start looking around to some of these planets, what I see is, here's Pluto at minus about 21. Here's Saturn at minus 21. Up, these guys are in the same place. Here's Mars, minus 21. I better look and see what the southern latitude of 21 degrees is on the map. Okay, here's an astrocartography map for that new moon, June 4th, that we're talking about, that has a gridlock in it. I'm looking for places where Saturn, these other planets, go into gridlock, and there's Saturn. And what's this? Rio de Janeiro. What's the latitude of Rio de Janeiro? Well, it's just about 21, 22 degrees south. So Pluto, which is, and Saturn and Mars are all in gridlock around Rio. What's that? That is the mosquito craziness and a bunch of gridlock. Nobody's going there. Everything got stuck. It's hitting Rio, and it's going to get hot. Athletes? Those are Rio, huh? Olympics? Uh-oh. Saturn and Pluto. Restrictions, laws. Pluto is insects. Well, here's the 3 points where this nasty bad moon falls, huh? You can see all the lines all cobbled up. Here's one up here, and one going through there. And this one could be problems. We had a lot of things going through here, this area of the world, and even down in a bit of Australia. And then over here too, this is where the Grand Cross kind of hits the angles, okay? And there's problems. This matter of looking directly overhead is missing from our Western astrology. But Hawaiians, you know, when I read when Cook showed up, the guys said, hey, these Hawaiians in their heiaus, they had a tower, and they said it was 40 to 50 feet high and kind of skinny. And what was this? It was a sight tube to find the zenith, to see what was going on. They knew when there's no shadow day, but other planets pass over. Any planet goes through your zenith, you know, bad ones, fixed stars too. You got to watch those babies, evil red ones, Antares and Algol. So it happens that down in Mexico, south of Mexico City, there's a place called Cochalco, and there's a 8 meter 7. What's that? That's about 25, 30 feet long hole in a cave that is exactly, you know, shows you what's happening on the zenith. A lot of cultures did this one way or the other. They had people watching what happened directly overhead, the no shadow place, huh? Yeah, from Hawaiians to Mayans and all of them. Wow. Okay, I'm here on May 7th doing, anyway, I'm wondering what happened to my New York prediction. And so I decided to check the U.S. chart to see, and what happened was, here's a progressed new chart of the U.S. government. The progressed moon, I have two charts. I have a 2:05 a.m., 2:06. Here's a 2:05, and the progressed moon at 6:53 is a little bit further in. Here, the progressed moon at 6:54, pretty much closer to the. So this is on May 7th. This is what you'd expect if there's going to be an enemy. The Russians buzzed the plane. There was 500 people arrested on the courthouse steps in Washington, D.C., but, you know, still. But nevertheless, this tells me that in the first part of May, there's action in the U.S. chart. I looked at transits. Here's the planets in the sky now around the U.S. chart. Here's the 2:05 a.m. July 5th chart. That's the right one. And here's transiting Mars. See, it's at 6:21. Wow. Now it's going backwards at this point, isn't it? It's retrograde. And here on May 7th, here's Mars at 6:21, and the 2:06 a.m. chart has a rising sign of 6:22. So this is pretty exact. So, you know, a lot of the stuff in the reason the New York thing doesn't go off, there's other charts, and this, the U.S. government chart, is prime right now for a problem to come up, isn't it? I've been having so much fun. I left 1 degree before Venus hit the midheaven, and then 2 degrees and 3 I'm going to show you on the next show or two. But it's all about, you know, the app. See, here's my website, skymirrorastrology.com/TV. You can get all the last shows there. And if you just use skymirrorastrology.com, what you'll get is the app where you can get this wonderful $10 thing. It only works for iPhones now, folks. Sorry, but yeah, you're stuck with that. And this app allows you to get the exact chart of the time. Here it is, and it's sensitive. It's a little bit off from my computer because it gives you the altitude. The regular astrology programs don't do that. So the moon is 20 seconds off or something. Anyway, see, there's Venus up at the top of the chart. Now you can take this and just move it a little bit, see? Yeah, and adjust there. I want to go out when Venus is approaching the midheaven right there. And you can check the time and stuff and walk out of your house. And there's girls all over. But, you know, never before in all of humanity's thing have we had a tool like this. This is $10. Get it for your iPhone, your iPad, and start playing around.